Let me grab Dave in Indianapolis. We promised to call Dave back yesterday because we didn't have much time with him. And Dave's in Indianapolis, and he called yesterday to side with the you called about the mother who came out of her house and hit her son for being stupid and joining the protest in Baltimore. And you agreed with the libs who criticized her, right?
Well, I'm not on the fence very often, Rush, but in this case, I have to say I sort of was, because when I saw that mother smack her son upside the head, I applauded as well as my wife did. And we said, now that's good parenting right there. Because in that moment, what we see is he meets life with, I'm paraphrasing part of her quote, he meets life with aggression, so she meets him with aggression. That's what was happening. But what she said in her quote was that this mother has dealt with aggression in her life growing up there. And if she meets her son with aggression, he will meet life with aggression, almost as if she's excusing why this kid is the way he is. And I think she's making some assumptions that those smacks to the left side of his head were not the first ones. Maybe he's been getting those since he was little.
Uh-huh.
And maybe that's why he has turned out the way he is. But there's a lot of assumptions in there. What we saw in the video and applauded was that he was being the aggressor. And if he had connected with a brick, much worse than what he got from his mom, she came along and did what millions of us would have done and said, what are you doing? Well, I think this woman was assuming that maybe somewhere in this kid's life he's responding to what he's gotten in the past.
Well, that could be. But remember now, when this happened, your reaction was like most people's. Everybody applauded her. She became a hero. She was on morning show television. She was a hero. And a couple days later, here come people on the left accusing her of child abuse and mistreating her son, and she shouldn't have done this in public, which is something I predicted. And it didn't take. She lost her heroine status pretty soon as she became an example of poor parenting, in fact. And then when they talked to her, I found this she said that, and it changed my perception of what she had done. She said she essentially didn't trust the cops. She didn't want him out there riding because he could get killed, not because it was the wrong thing to do, but because he could get killed. I heard her say, she's seen the way the police act. Police kill people. People get killed in riots. Police get away with it. I don't want that happening to my son. I want him to stay alive. I gathered that it wasn't because she was opposed to what he was doing from a standpoint of the cause. She just worried about his life as a mother, and she didn't want him putting it at risk. And on the protest march, she thought, I don't want any part of that. He can't win doing that.
Well, I would think unless the mother expressly left out, on purpose, and said, well, I'm not worried about, the reason he's doing it. I'm just worried he's going to get hurt. I wouldn't assume that she didn't think both things. That, number one, he shouldn't be doing it. And secondly, I don't want him to get hurt. That's her primary responsibility at the moment, just get him out of there. But I just think there were a lot of assumptions made. And I'm a 27-year student of EIBU University.
Yeah.
And a resident of Realville, and here I am thinking about calling Rush and disagreeing with him. But when I heard you say that yesterday, you said, that makes no sense or that's nonsense. And I looked up at the radio, as you've probably done before, and said, well, of course it made sense, and grabbed the phone. And the first time I called, it rang and someone answered, and I almost couldn't believe it.
Well, hang on. I got to take a quick break here. I'll come back and close it out with you. But this is Dave in Indianapolis. And by the way, thanks for letting us call you back, because I took his call yesterday and I misread the clock and didn't have nearly the time left I thought we did. Okay, so Dave, to wrap it up, where are you now on the whole thing with Toya Graham coming out and slapping her son and telling him to get off the protest march or the riot?
Right.
You think she did the right thing? You still think she did the right thing or not?
Well, I think all we see is that picture. I didn't look into her life. I didn't see, when people were asking where was the father, I just assumed he was at work. It was only later on I found out that she was single. I didn't really pry into it, so all I see is that moment. At that moment, yeah, she did the right thing. That's what I would have done. That's what you would have done. That's what, My wife was well raised by her parents, and I know her mom might have even done worse. So it's it's all good.
Well, but see, look, see, that's
if
the
it's
thing.
been going on in the past,
not every parent. She stands out because she's the only parent to do it that anybody saw, anyway, and that's why it stood out. And she was applauded. What does that tell you? Good sign, applauded. Until she spoke, I just didn't want him getting killed. She didn't comment on the protest itself. She 6 kids, no husband, lives alone, no job, and I think, I don't remember well enough. I think she witnessed a gunshot death in her family, some kind of recent past, so it was fresh on her mind. But she just wanted harm coming to her son. A lot of parents would have thought their kids are doing a valiant thing by going out there and protesting the cops. I would have encouraged them to do so. We didn't see any. We don't see this often. Parents, when they find out their kids are out there running out there and yanking them off the streets. What the hell do you think? We don't see it. That's why it made news and stood out.